So you need a kitchen scale so that you can zero out as you add the different ingredients. So the first thing you want is 300 grams of quite warm water, and oh, I've got it on the wrong unit. So there's my grams. So 300 grams of warm water. A little bit extra, that'll be fine. Then you want your sourdough starter, which I have here. It should be nice and bubbly and stringy and stretchy. If it's nicely activated, it will also be, sorry, I'm just gonna put that to 0 again. It will also be, it'll float in the water. So you want 150 grams of starter in the water. And sometimes it takes a second to float, drops down, and then kind of slowly rises up, which is what this is doing. Normally I feed mine the night before, and I didn't do that, but I make it regularly enough that it's pretty happy. You don't have to feed it every day. There, 153. Again, a little extra is not a big deal. It'll just make it more sourdoughy. Put that back in there. I don't think that's a word. That's okay. Right down. Yeah. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna do the flour. It's me charging my little scale. $330 grams of white flour. So this is a mix of white and whole wheat. So 330 grams. How many? It's usually about 2 cups and something. There's 2 cups, 323. Perfect. 331. Drop it back to 0, and then it's 200 grams of whole wheat flour. Of course, you can do any combo you want. You could do all white flour. It's nice and fluffy then. I've tried with spelt. It's definitely more flat. It doesn't rise in the same way, I think because of the gluten. It's a nice flavor, but not as much rise. So I'm just coming up to 200 grams. Need a tiny bit more. And then 8 grams of salt. This one's sometimes hard to get the exact measurement on. Oh, and my scale lately, oh, it's cooperating. Sometimes it just starts freaking out, measuring a whole bunch of stuff. So 8 grams of salt. pan is also fine. So then you take this mixture, pop it into the mixer, lock your mixer, and with the dough hook, you're going to stir it. And I just let it sit and stir that while I feed my sourdough. So here's how to feed your sourdough starter. So you're coming back to your scale. And I kind of estimate how much is in there. It's hard to see down the side right now, but looks like maybe about half a cup of starter. Yum! I have all my ingredients out. See if I can get this to work. Got a new scale on order, but so this might not work with this, but if I estimate there's about half a cup in there, so I want to put another half cup approximately. I might go a little bit less of flour. And then I would normally weigh that. So if that was 30 grams of flour, then I would put in just a little bit less of water. But because I don't have a working scale at the moment, I'm just going to estimate if I did half a cup of that. I'm just going to put in a little bit less than half a cup of water. And then I will stir that up. It shouldn't be super runny. If it looks too runny, then I might add a little bit more flour. Well, this looks pretty good. And usually I will do that right after, in this moment when I've just made my loaf. And then again the night before I make my sourdough loaf. That one will just keep kneading away here until I've cleaned up. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's closer to 10. It's not usually 20. Yeah, probably usually around 5 minutes. And then I will show you the next step when that's ready. Once you've finished kneading your bread with the dough hook, it shouldn't feel super sticky anymore. Then you just pull it out of the bowl, round it into a nice little ball. Plop it in a bowl. You're gonna put a cloth or a plate over that and just let it sit for the rest of the day. If it looks like it's getting really big, it's a really warm day, or you started it early in the morning, then you might need to pop it in the fridge. But for now, it's just gonna sit like that until it doubles in size. So I usually just put it on the counter until the evening, and then I do the next step. Go. So this has sat for about 8 hours now and is nicely doubled. So I prepped a cast iron pan with some parchment paper, and I'm just gonna take the bread from here, pull it all out of the bowl. There's a little bit stuck on the bottom, I just catch that up. And then I just roll this. It'll be a little bit sticky. I roll it back into, if you have a circle cast iron pot, you can do that. I just kind of do a nice sausage, tucking it in. Here and there. And then I will put the lid on and put it in the fridge overnight. In the morning, preheat your oven with your pan inside. Then pull out your pan once the oven is at the correct temperature. You'll take out your loaf. I don't have a lame to cut the bread, so I use the fish knife. So you want a nice, long, deep cut in your loaf. I do side cuts as well. Just for the fun of it, not necessary. The one cut down the center is usually enough. And then you're going to take your bread, pop it back in the pan. I trim off the parchment just so it doesn't burn. Then you're going to put the lid back on. The oven preheated to 450 degrees. Lid goes back on into the oven for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, remove the lid and bake for a further 15 minutes with the lid off. I also turn the temperature down to about 400.